Does going face with a bunch of Tony choppers sound fun? Are you tired of long drawn out games? Tired of working around a complicated leader effect? Well, then Zoro might be the right one for you. Hello, fellow pirates, and welcome to today's episode. This week we played OP01's Red Zoro, an aggressive leader with the effect of Dawn times 1. All of your characters get 1000 power. This leader is known to be one of the better red decks and pops up from time to time. As for the list, I only played one version this week, an animal version with one copy of Goldie Roger. The deck performed well with a score of 6 wins and 9 losses. The current meta isn't very good for Zoro in my opinion, with better aggressive decks like Blue Dofi, and hard to beat control decks such as Lucci and Enel. As for the key cards, I would say 3-cost Zoro, the summon Tony Chopper, and then Gold D Roger, along with Kid Killer. The Chopper makes a wide board fast and is necessary for control matchups, along with the Gold D Roger, which is your main win condition against other control matchups as well. You do also have a 1-cost event that is really strong, being able to throw a body whenever your opponent attacks you. And then you do also run Monkey D Dragon as just like a secondary finisher if you already have a decent board. Along with that, you do run the Diablo Jambe, and then we only run one copy of King Kong Gatling because I don't really see us needing it too much. It's more for being in your life as a trigger to get rid of like a blocker than it is as something that you just play. It does have its uses. You can use it on like a hiking bear, and then when you attach one Dawn to it and your leader, now this hiking bear's 8k, and it's making like your Tony Chopper into an 7 or 8k as well. So as for this week's games, I have 3 good games for you against meta. I have 1 against Blackbeard, 1 against Jewelry Bonnie, and 1 against Blue Dofi. Enjoy. Alright, game 1 is against Blackbeard, also known as Marshall D. Teach. So this matchup, if we can go wide faster than they can KO our stuff, then we win. And then we also have the Goldie Roger as a nice little help. So we did keep a very good hand in this matchup too, having both the event along with a Nami, and then having a Zoro and a summon Chopper. So we do start off with the Nami, and we have a couple options here. We can either go for that Tony Chopper or the hiking bear. We go for the Chopper because if we can get the 1-cost blocker Chopper or get another hiking bear, then that throws 2 bodies out for free. And then from here we just pass the turn. So for our next turn, we're most likely going to go this 3-cost Tony Chopper. It's just our much better play, and most of the time Teach isn't going to use their leader effect until your 3rd, maybe 4th turn. So here they do attack, and we still had that one Dawn up, so we do get a free 4k power blocker Chopper. So we still get to keep 2 bodies, and they essentially wasted their turn to take 1 life from us and kill one of our 1 costs, but we just changed that into a 3. So that blocker Chopper does have a very relevant effect too. It has Dawn times 2 when attacking. You can minus the power of one of your opponent's characters by 3,000 for the rest of the turn. That can come up when it gets to late game, if it does get to late game, to try to lower like a 10-cost Blackbeard. So here we just swing for 5 because we're going to play the Robin now since we still have on plays to KO the Doc. And then we just play that Chopper. So sadly, we did get the 1-cost Chopper here, but we didn't get anything else that was more relevant. So I'm just looking to see what we had to put down. Putting down 2 Kid Killers wasn't really ideal either, because that means that we're not going to be seeing them this match. And then we just pass the turn. So they take this turn to play their Jesus Burgess. And then I think they just attach a Dawn and then swing 6. Yeah, they swing 6 at the blocker Chopper. So we just give it to them. We don't have enough counter to counter out, and there's no reason why we would. We do still draw a Kid Killer. So we know that there's 2 on the bottom of the deck. So that's huge that we still draw one, because that can be very relevant as a non-on-play rusher, just like the Zoro. So here we attach 2 because we're wanting to swing for 7. And we know that they run cards like Finger Pistol and Liberation, cards that can just KO us for free. And then we attack with the Summon Chopper, and we got good options. We got another blocker Chopper or a Hiking Bear. So we just take the other blocker Chopper, because now if they want to get rid of those blocker Choppers, it's going to take both of their attacks or a KO spell and an attack. So they do get their 1-cost Searcher from the top of their life, and they draw into a Lafitte. And then here we're just still swinging another 6. And then we attach the 3 Dawn to the Nico Robin and swing another 6. I don't want to play this Zoro until I feel that I can swing confidently with it. And I'm just trying to get as many swings out as possible. So since we still had the Robin and she was basically a 3K due to Zoro's leader effect, I didn't see a reason of using that 3 Dawn when I could just still swing 6 and still have the Zoro in hand to use at a later time. So here they play the Lafitte, they play the Vasco Shot, and they play the Laboon. So that tells me right away they didn't have a Doc Q, and they didn't have enough Dawn to be able to get to Doc Q from the Lafitte. So they do go and they get rid of our Summon Chopper, and they try to get rid of one of our blocker Choppers, but I just give up 2K encounter. That way then I can still keep it on there. That way then I'm constantly having multiple bodies, so they don't have a way of fighting back. Now then, I will say, in hindsight, I probably should have gotten rid of the 3-cost Chopper in my hand as the 1K counter instead of Nico Robin, because I could have just attached 2 Dawn to one of these blocker Choppers for the Vasco Shot and be able to KO it. Oh, wait, no, he turned off my on-play. Never mind. But that's something that you can do if they decide not to turn off your on-plays for a turn. And then here, we're just able to go in real hard. He's down to 3 cards in hand already. And us having both Zoro and Kid Killer just means that we could just win right here. Or we could just put him to 2 cards left in hand. So I'm just thinking, or my opponent is thinking right now, from that last card that they took from life. So the other option is the Nico Robin. But here They did get a liberation. They do use it on my leader to turn off his effect, but I already got most of my attacks out. And then I just swing 7k with Kid and Killer. So this is going to take 2 cards out of his hand if he had a 2k, 1k, which he didn't. He had 2 of his... Oh, sorry. All he had left in hand was 2 10-cost Teaches and a Van Augur. So there was no way of him surviving this. And that is game 1, so now we will go on to game 2. Alright, for game 2, we're against Jewelry Bonnie. They start off with the 1-cost Bonnie Searcher. We are going second, and we start off with Dr. Correa. Just get us another Hiking Bear. So we pass. This matchup can be a little bit of a struggle because Bonnie's leader effect, being able to tap down one of our attacks every turn, is really powerful. And this turn for them, they do have 2 searchers. Luckily they whiffed on the first one, and then on the second one they got a Rosinante, and then they just pass it. So here I'm just thinking, I'm like, okay, we'll swing. They can't tap down anything because they spent all of their Dawn to do searching last turn, so we're just going to go attach 1, swing 3k into one of the searchers, swing 6k into the other, make sure that they can't just accrue advantage. And then we're going to play the Summon Chopper here, which does get us the other Chopper, which summons out the Hiking Bear from our hand. So for 3 Dawn, we got 9 Dawn worth of bodies on the field, and that is a huge tempo swing for us. They do play a Cavendish, and they swing 6 into the Chopper that is rested. And I'm just debating here. I could counter out of it, but I decide not to. So here, I'm just attaching some Dawn, guaranteeing that I get some good swings, and then I swing for 7 with the Summon Chopper. I get a blocker Chopper off of it. They tap down our leader with their effect, but that's fine because we still have 4 Dawn, so we're just going to... We're thinking, do we want to attach to the Hiking Bear? We also could swing just with both of these. So we attach the Hiking Bear for 6. And then we just play out another blocker Chopper. That way then we just have a wide board constantly. And that's kind of the main way that we need to do it in order to be able to beat Jewelry Bonnie, because they're going to be focusing on getting rid of our characters, and they have things like this 5-cost carrot that's just able to constantly freeze a character every turn. And we don't really have any way of getting rid of the carrot outside of combat. So they do swing 7 into our Hiking Bear, and then they swing 6 with Cavendish into our blocker Chopper, since they already froze our Summon Chopper, so that way then we don't get an extra free body from it. From here, we are on 8 Dawn this turn, so there's quite a bit that we can do. And we decide we're just going to start off with a swing of 7 with our leader. So they are going to tap down our blocker Chopper, and they just take it. So then what we do is we summon our 3-cost Robson, which has the effect of Dawn times 2. It gains Rush this turn, so it just automatically swings for 7k with Zoro leader effect. And then that leaves us 1 Dawn left up, so that we can play another blocker chopper, but the 1-cost blocker chopper in this case. So again, we're just going wide. They do get a Hody Jones. So Hody is real strong in this matchup against us if it's timed real well. And it allows them to be able to clear out multiple characters. So they start off with a swing with Cavendish. We give them the Robson. They swing with Carrot, freeze our summon chopper again. And we just counter out of that one, and then they attack with the Hody into our blocker chopper. We basically gave up 2 cards in hand to make them not take everything on our board that turn, because we value keeping at least 1 extra body, because yeah, they do have leader effect, but we just want to make sure that in case we didn't want to attack this turn and we just wanted to establish bodies, we still had a blocker to be able to do something. So here, they're just going to block. We swung for 8k, they tapped down our blocker chopper. And then we're just going to keep going face. Just Zoro, they counter. Zoro. They counter out again, so that's 2 of their 2Ks gone, and we just pass. So both us and the opponent are really low on cards in hand, but we did leave up 1 Dawn for our event. But they do have the Hody to tap down that last Dawn. And now we were hoping that they do try to just go for board some, because at this point, with them just going for board, there's a high chance that we can win next turn using this Monkey D Dragon. So here, they're just clearing out board. They swing 5 at us. We just take it. We're looking to see if there's a better play than the Monkey D Dragon. They swing 9 at us. We still just take. They swing 11. And now they're threatening to kill us next turn. So here, we're just thinking, we know that we have to do Dragon. That's the play that we have to do. They have 1 Dawn left up, so we're going to have to play this very smart. We're going to have to attach 2 Dawn to Zoro and swing 7 and hope that they just take it. So they do tap down the one blocker, and they take it. They have used a lot of 2Ks at this point. And then we just play the Dragon, attach the 2 Dawn from his effect to him, and swing for 12, and that's game. And overall, that is how I've seen that this matchup kind of plays out. You have to go wide. If you don't, you lose as Zoro player. But that is game 2. We will now go on to game 3. Alright, so here is game number 3, and this one is against the best deck in the format, Blue Dofi. So there's going to be a little bit of a surprise here in this matchup, and I'll just leave it at that. So they did start off with the 1-cost buggy, try to rearrange. We start off with Dr. Correa, and we got the summon chopper. So here they go leader effect, summon Jinbei. Jinbei bounce back their 1-drop, bounce our Dr. Correa back to hand. It is the strongest play currently in the game outside of Gecko Moria. And it is debatable to say which one of those is stronger at this point in time. So here we're just thinking, how do we want to advance our turn? So we were able to get a summon chopper because we had the 1-cost event. So when they attacked, we did get that. So we still have 2 bodies on our field. And we're just going to attach 1, swing 6 with Zoro into their Jinbei. This way, they can't just give us like a 1k law to get out of it. They have to give us one of their 2ks. The 7 warlords do have a ton of 2ks though, I will say that. And then we just swing another 6 with our chopper. We do get a Robson off the top. So as long as we keep hitting an animal off of the top with our summon choppers, then that helps us match up a ton. So then we just play another summon chopper. Sadly, we whiffed that time. And here we did get 2 cards out of their hand. And the name of the game for this matchup is more controlling the board is going to win us the game rather than just going face. Because they're going to keep throwing out 5k attackers every single turn, and they're going to summon at least 1 or 2. So here they play the 1-cost buggy again. They get a second Jinbei, and they summon a crocodile. They had 1 Dawn left. They bounced the 1-drop buggy back to hand again. And here I'm just thinking, is it worth a bunch of counter for this summon chopper? Because I can make them just waste their turn attacking it. So I do counter out right here. They swing again. We counter out again. Swing 1 more time. And we give them 1 more. So we gave up 4 cards that turn. But it's worth it in my opinion in this matchup to save our summon chopper. That card's just going to constantly give us essentially Dofi's leader effect every single turn, and with us having 2 on the board, that's just 2 free bodies that we don't have to invest any Dawn into, so we can just invest the Dawn into killing our opponent's characters. And that's exactly what we do. We're swinging 7s with both of those choppers. We get 2 good hits with a hiking bear and a blocker chopper. We swing another 7 with leader. And just like that, even with them having 2 Jinbeis back to back, we cleared both of the Jinbeis. All they have left is a crocodile. They have 5 cards in hand. And we have a full board. So here, they swing, they use leader effect, they get a 3rd Jinbei into a Weevil. That is incredible. I will say it doesn't stop there though. So this time we don't have enough counter to stop the attack, so we just give them that chopper. And they then attach 3 Dawn to their crocodile, and they realize how strong those choppers are, and they just get rid of them as fast as possible. But the damage has already been done. We have a 3rd one in our hand as well. So here we always attach 1 Dawn, just so that way then we can have a better visualization of what we're working with. And then we attach 1 to Hiking Bear. And I'm just reading the blocker chopper, making sure, but I didn't want to use his effect this turn. I could have, but I didn't really see it as being something that was necessary so much right now. So I just swung 7. They give me the crocodile. I swung another 7. They're just thinking if they want to counter out of this, which they do decide to do, but that's fine. So here we're swinging 6, and they just give it to us. So they gave us 2 free cards out of their hand for that. And then we're just swinging 5 with the Robson, and that leaves us 3 Dawn, so that way then we can play Chopper. And we do get a blocker Chopper off of that. So here we've now seen all 4. We know where all 4 of our blocker Choppers are. There's 2 in our hand, 2 on the field. But for this matchup, the effect of when attacking for that blocker Chopper isn't as necessary. It's really good at clearing opponents' characters, but it's not as necessary as it would be in a lot of other matchups, like control matchups. Here, they attach 2. They hit a 4th Jinbei. They hit their 4th Jinbei. And then they also have the bounce law as well in hand. So they've now seen all 4 of arguably the best 7 Warlords card, and then 2 copies of arguably the other best 7 Warlords card. So they do bounce their Sengoku back to hand, and they bounce one of the blocker Choppers. So here we just give them the other one. We don't have enough to counter out of it. We technically did once they bounced the 3rd Chopper to hand, but we didn't want to waste that. Here on the other hand, we got to think a little bit, because it would take us 3 cards, but we know that they're not going to be really doing any more attacks, and we decide to counter out of that. So they do have the 6 Dawn left, so they do play the Jozu, and that will allow them to bounce back the Jinbei and bounce our summon Chopper. So here we're at 10 Dawn, so we're just doing our attachments real quick, make sure that we get all of the value, and then we're just going to swing 7 at face, because we realize that they're low on cards in hand, and we can spend this turn basically trying to take out their life, because they do run a lot of blockers, and if we can get them to give up all of their life right now, then we can just Gold Roger for the win. So they do counter out of that one. We swing another 7 at face. They're down to 2 cards in hand, so they do take. And here I'm just thinking, I'm like, okay, so I could go the Kid and Killer. That's going to swing for 8, which I do. So they're either giving me 2 cards in hand, or they're taking that life, which they took it. So now they're at 0 life, which is perfect. We now have them exactly where we want them. There is a chance that they can just kill us in the crackback because we did that. We only have 1k in counter, so we're relying heavily on the rest of the cards in our life to be able to survive this. But if they decide to go for board, so that way then we can't kill them on the crackback, then we win. So it's very much a mind game scenario, and they decide that they want to go for board. So at that point, that seals the deal. We know that they're most likely going to play at least one blocker, but that doesn't matter to Gold D. Roger. So here, they're just clearing board. We're just going to quickly give it to them. There's no reason not to. We don't need these bodies anymore. We don't have the counter to save them either. And then they go Sengoku. They drew into a 2K buggy. So we know that they have at least one 2K in hand. We know that they don't have a bunch of 2Ks. They do put one card on top of their life using their teach. We also know that they have a Jinbei in hand, which was a 1K counter. So here they're just doing some attaching. They're swinging 6 with that teach. We take it. They swing 8. They had put the Jinbei with the teach's ability, so that means that they're going to be losing another card in hand if they want to throw down a blocker. And they need to throw down a blocker. So they do. They throw down the Boa Hancock. So they're down to 3 cards in hand. There's no way that they're surviving a 13K attack. So here they swing for 9, we take it, and we know that it's game over. So we just swing with this Gold Roger, and that is the game. For those of you that don't know, the Gold Roger's ability is he has Rush, and then if you or your opponent have 0 life, and your opponent activates blocker, then you automatically win the game. So your opponent can't block him if they're at 0 or you're at 0. And that means your opponent has to counter out. And in this case, at most, he would have 6K in counter in hand. So that would only put him up at 11K. So he would have needed 2 more cards in hand. And those are the games for this week. I hope that you guys enjoyed that. If you guys don't mind, please like, follow, and subscribe. It matters a lot to me. Stay safe out there and have a good rest of your day.